what to do and what happens if we make a mistake in a job, especially when we are at the beginning of the job. It's more about the feeling and the definition related to what is making a mistake, especially when it's happening in your professional area, where it seems like most of the time, at least, when you make a mistake, you are considered as someone that is not good enough and that is not competent in what he's doing. But is it actually true? I can tell you from experience that for so long, I thought that when I make a mistake, I am considered as not enough. And I was scared, I have to admit. I felt the fear, and the fear was coming from the fact that I might lose the job, I might lose the person, I might lose the respect of someone or their esteem, and I might be rejected. Maybe because I had a past where I used to think and believe, and through my experiences made a meaning about making a mistake, as it is something to avoid, and it is something to be ashamed of, and as it is something that when you admit or people catch you doing it, you can lose people on the way. And I wanted to share this video with you today because I relate this experience ultimately. And it made me think and consider also how I used to relate to mistakes and how I'm relating to them today, and how it shifted also my interactions with others. And this is just for you to invite you to see making mistakes from a new perspective, a perspective that might be more helpful. And we are not going to just focus on the mistake on the surface level. We are going to go dig deeper to understand the mistake, what is the meaning that we usually give to it, and what happens within us. What emotionally is happening, and what are the beliefs that are behind it that make us react in certain ways, and most importantly, what could be the best alternative. And as you might know, if you are familiar with my YouTube channel, I am a big fan of responding versus reacting. And I spend all my time observing this phenomenon. And I believe that when we understand the importance of starting to respond to what happens within us or with others, to respond to our circumstances, we are actually making a big change in our reality. And that's why I want to share with you this particular circumstance, because I know that it's really serious. And I, from myself, I have experienced it lately, and I have noticed how important and impactful it is to be in a situation where you make a mistake, and if you are not aware of what is happening and why it is happening, you will fall into the reactive mode. And most of the time, the reactive mode is not going to give you good results or benefits from the mistake that you are making. Because yes, making mistakes is not only negative. Very often, if we see it in another way and we process it in a different way, it can be the way for us to make our big leap and make a transformation happen in our life. And it can actually also improve our interactions and our relations with others. And this is because when you are coming from a place of vulnerability, from a place of honesty and transparency, from a genuine, authentic place, where rather than feeling ashamed or feeling afraid of losing something, and what this energy might bring to the surface, from resistance to fear, to anxiety, to stress, to anger, to guilt, and what it can reflect to others and communicate to them, when we shift to this place of valuable sharing of information and acknowledgement and genuinely wanting to communicate it because of it's the best interest of everyone, whether it's me as the person who made the mistake and my colleagues and my superiors of the job or my employees. And to get back to our topic, the first thing that I want to break down with you is, what are mistakes? Mistakes are things that do not follow a process, especially in the job. It's either a mistake in the process of work or a personal or human mistake in the job. The human mistakes are more related to how we interact with our group of co-workers, how we interact with our company, and the people that work in it are also the customers. And this can be something that is personal because at the human level, you as a person made a mistake with regards to someone else, and you might probably provoked on them anger or resentment or disappointment because you weren't polite, you weren't kind to them, and you didn't show respect to them. So when we are interacting with people, we all know that it's very sensitive, especially when you are in a job and when you have very defined processes and ways of speaking to others and relating to them and how to answer them. And when we overcross it or make a mistake for so many reasons that it might be we are having a bad day, also the other person is having a bad day and taking it personally and interpreting things in a way that make it sound like you are being rude. And maybe you are being rude, but it's not against the person. You are overreacting due to other circumstances. And let's admit it's not always easy to distance ourselves from our life and from our problems. Sometimes, unfortunately, they can interact one with the other. But the good thing is to always focus on a way to solve the problem, on a way to approach it in a better way, to be genuine in our interaction, not coming from a place where I need to make my point to you or I need to make you feel wrong or to show you that I am right, but from a place where I acknowledge that something happened that made you upset with me. Maybe I offended you, but for me, from this point of view, my goal and my intention is to make it better for the two of us. It's not from a place of ego or feeling better or thinking that I am better than you or maybe trying to please you just because you are the boss. It's really from the genuine place of how can we make it better for the two of us? Let me know, how did you feel about what I said? What did you hear? And let me explain to you what did I say. And let's find a place where both of us can meet together and from now on improve our communication and relationship. And apologize if there is the need to do it. Because if I acknowledge that I made you feel bad, there is no problem with apologizing for how I made you feel, just for the fact that it wasn't my intention. And from empathy and understanding and compassion, I can see where you are coming from, and I really feel sorry for that. So I apologize for making you feel this way. Honestly, it wasn't my intention. It was my intention. And how can we make it better for ourselves in our interaction from now on? How can we communicate in a better way? What about we set for ourselves healthy intentions in our communications, where we make it clear for each other that whenever we are interacting, whenever I'm asking you something or you asking me something, it's coming from a place of genuinely wanting to collaborate and work together and give each other the support that we need in the right moment, and to promise ourselves and invest and engage on and commit to the fact and the idea that it's not going to be something that we take personal, because we know how pure is the intention of each and every one. Now, this could be a good point of view. It's something that I do with my partner, I do with my family, I do with my friends, I do with people generally, and also at my job. And I do it because I really feel it and believe it. And I think that it's important to make this point clear, to set this intention, at least from my point of view. And after that, it's, of course, I respect and honor your place, and I will respect whether you share with me this point of view and this intention or not. I respect it. I'm not here to just make a point. If it's okay for you, it's fine for all of us. If it's not, I am willing to hear your intentions and how you can believe that we can make it better. That's it. It's not about obliging or forcing anyone to do what I do. It's just about me what I came to and what is working for me, and I want to share it with others. And most of the time, I can tell you, if not all the time, honestly, it worked for me. It improved a lot my relationships and my interactions, and I feel more comfortable with my skin and safe to be myself. And I have noticed, at least from my perspective, that the people with whom I interact, they really feel comfortable with me and safe because I genuinely see them as whole persons and peoples, and I'm not there to pick their mistakes or their flaws or anything or to take it personally. I don't get offended because I go with the belief and the conviction that it's coming from a place where we are collaborating and there is a good intention behind it. I don't really focus on what you are saying or how you are saying. For me, it's the goal. What is our intention? Where do we want to get with that? What do we want to get from it? And I want to be calm and serene around it. So if you are acting in a bad way, I'm not going to take it personally because I'm coming from a place where I have learned that my reactions are most of the time indicators of triggers of areas of my life where I might be still carrying traumas and have meanings and definitions that are maybe conditioning the way I react to any circumstance. But it's based on a past trauma and definition that today I learn to become aware of it and I know how to decipher it and understand it. And rather than reacting, I stop and listen to what is happening. And afterwards, and after that, I choose for myself how to respond, how to take it for myself, how I want to define it for myself from now on. Because I am not the person I used to be, and nobody is who I believe they are. I'm just seeing really a trailer of a person. I can't know a person 100% or assume that I know them. I just know a part of them that is based on that moment of time, and I cannot define them from that point of view. I think it's not fair and it's not enough to give a judgment on someone. And I think it's the same for me. So this is for when we are relating with people and human mistakes happen. Now let's move to when you have processing mistakes in the job. And this is a part for me that is really heavy because making mistakes in the process is for me stressing. I don't know for you, but because I am aware of what might be the consequences of my mistake. And I know that it might impact the company, the customers, and also my colleagues. And if I am not aware of it and I cannot fix it in the right time, it might be seen by someone else, and maybe they will react to the situation in a more exponential way. And I might be fired from a job or unclassified or just considered as not competent from people. Fair enough, I made a mistake, and I am not here to tell people how to define me or how to see mistakes. But what I do know is that it's important when we make a mistake, when we are aware that we made it, to own it. This is something really important. We need to own our mistakes. I made a mistake in the process. This is a mistake I made. Yes, it's my responsibility. Here's something really interesting and smart to do for yourself is to not define it as a fault, as a problem, but to define it as a responsibility. And we know that usually this happens because we didn't pay attention, even though we can be the most focused and meticulous person in the world. Mistakes are human, and we need to be okay with that. In Italy, there is an amazing quote that I love, and it says, only those who don't take action don't make mistake. So as long as you are making mistakes, that means that you are taking actions and learning. And it's really deep and serious. As a matter of fact, if you notice, in your life, whenever you started something new and you started practicing it, at the beginning, there have been mistakes. There have been areas where you didn't pay enough attention, you didn't get very well the concept or the process, and therefore you made mistakes. And I believe it's something that is part of the process. But what is interesting is how you are going to define this action. This quote, this Italian quote, have been of huge help for me because it put me in a place of peace where I am aware that I am doing my best, I am learning, I am practicing, I am exercising, I am developing the knowledge of the thing and the experience in it. And it is normal to make mistakes while you are learning. It's exactly the same process of when you learned to walk or when you learned to ride a bicycle. I believe it's important to always remember that whenever we are starting something new that we have never done before, it is something that we are learning from scratch. And it is very normal to make mistakes, to fall, to not do things in a very perfect way, to be slow in your process at the beginning, to be a little bit lost. It is part of the process. When you are aware of this and you accept it, the benefit is that you are not going to give up. You are not going to stop before you learn to ride the bicycle. And you are not going to miss new opportunities for you in your life to expand your awareness, to expand your knowledges, to expand your experiences in life, and to learn something new. It's more about learning while we are living and experiencing the process than it is about any result. And this is helpful because it brings you in a place where you are having fun, like when you were a kid and you were learning to walk and then run and then ride a bicycle. Imagine everything as it is the process of learning the bicycle and how fun it was, even though you failed so many times and you have been hurt so many times. And yet you kept walking because you were excited about the fact that you are learning something new and you are going to be able to be more free and to express yourself in a different way and have fun with the others. I believe it's important to really remind ourselves that every process is really source of fun, not of shame. And don't take it too much serious, but take it from a place of I am in a place where I am learning and providing service from my position, no matter what is my position. It is more interesting for me to learn than to be perfect, to serve people in the best way than to be perfect. I'd rather exercise and grow and expand than sound perfect for others. Because at the end of the day, what does it even mean to be perfect? You can't compare yourself to people or co-workers that have been there for years. You can't even compare yourself with someone that is working with you and started in the same time. Because remember, every person is unique. And every person have his own way of processing things, of improving and growing and learning. And I think that a good leader in this is a leader that is aware of this, that is able to look and go beyond the surface and be aware of the fact that really every employee is unique. And every employee have a unique way of processing things, of learning, of growing, of providing value to the company and to the team. I believe that if a leader is able to understand this and apply it in his team and in his company, he can really have and create a family in his company. And the family will stay with you because they love you and believe in you, not because of the salary and the paycheck that they are getting at the end of the month. And I think this is very interesting. It's okay to make mistakes and to encourage your team to feel comfortable with telling you and sharing with you whenever they make a mistake, whenever they feel that they are weak somehow in their process or in their job. I think it's important to develop that open, authentic, vulnerable communication where you let your team share with you everything in a very open way and not judge them or make fun of them or diminish them because of the fact that they might be weak in something. I think it's important also to remember that you don't see them, and this is very helpful because it is helping me a lot in my life in general. When you see people as whole human beings, you don't see a person as a problem, a poor girl, or a person with handicaps, or a person that have psychological issues, or a person that is coming from jail. When you start to seeing the human being as a whole complete human being, you don't see him as a default or a flaw or a problem or a mistake or something that they have done, a mistake that they have done, or the failure that they have done, or their age or their gender or any other level for that matter. When you start see them that way and you genuinely and truly see people this way and speak to them and look at them and treat them this way and respect them for just that, because everyone is whole, everyone is unique, and everyone is worthy of being part of this life and this existence, and they matter, you are going to create for yourself, whether you are the leader of the job and the company or the employee that might make mistakes, you are going to have a different approach of this, because you are going to be acknowledging the fact that either you or your leader or the employee or the employer, we are all whole human being, and making a mistake don't make you bad or wrong or less than others or unworthy. It's a mistake, and a mistake can be fixed or corrected. As a matter of fact, this is where comes the very amazing attitude and mindset of being solution oriented rather than being problem oriented. Because the people who are problem oriented are people that will only focus and put all their energy in the problem. They will constantly be focused on what happened, what is the mistake, and how impactful it is as a mistake and bad. And I have been in that position. In the late experience that I had, for a small moment, I have been in that. And thankfully, I catch it myself. Because when you start learning all those things and concepts, and you start absorbing them and applying them in your life, as I am doing, it helps you a lot while you are dealing with anything in your life. And knowing that I was getting into the spiral of the problem and I couldn't solve or face the situation in a positive and constructive manner as long as I was sitting in the problem. So here it is important to take a breath, to acknowledge that there is a mistake, there is a problem, there is a challenge. I love to call it a challenge, because a challenge is something that we can overcome, for which there is a solution. And after owning it, it's important also to consider the solution or the solutions. Once you understood, now you understand, you are aware that there is a mistake that you made, and you are aware of where is the mistake. You are aware of that there are solutions. Sometimes you can be the one that come with the solution. If you are new in the job, like I am in that experience that I shared with you, I don't know the solution. So with humility, I just shared the information with my colleagues, and I told them that I acknowledged it and I was aware of a mistake that I had made, and I shared it with them, and I asked for their support. I told them, this is the situation. I am sorry, I made this mistake. Here's where I made the mistakes. Here's what happened. I need your support to know how can we solve the problem. Can you please show me a way to solve the problem? Because I don't know how to solve it, but I'm sure you might have had similar cases, or if not, how can we, for this case from now on, find a way to solve it? And I had a very positive feedback for that. And I was a little bit panicked and sad because, of course, you do have that first instinctive reaction where you are scared. And that's what I observed. And I want you to observe from now on where you find yourself in this kind of situations, to observe what is happening within you. How are you feeling about it? What is raising up? Sadness, fear, because you're afraid you are going to lose your job. You know that you might sound like you are not good at your job. They might fire you, they might judge you, they might consider you as not enough in this position. And you will therefore feel guilty because you didn't pay enough attention, and ashamed because you know how people are going to see you and judge you from that moment. And when this happened to me and I observed in myself, I this time didn't allow it to condition how am I going to react. I remembered that making mistakes doesn't mean that I am less important or less enough than others. I didn't want it to attach this circumstance to an outcome, because if I found myself in the trap of believing and assuming and anticipating that if I say it to them, they will judge me as not competent, and therefore they will fire me, and I will find myself without a job and get into that spiral of negative thoughts. And it could happen, and it happened to me. And please, if it happens to you, I really would love to know if you resonate with it, or if it's something that happened to you as well. At least I wouldn't feel alone on this. So this was my very first reaction, but I was aware of it. I captured it, I observed it, and I reminded myself it's very important to choose how we define things. And it's very important to know how to make a constructive, positive meaning to everything that is happening to us. Because most of the time, all of our emotional reactions and emotional struggles are not coming from what is happening. They are happening from what we believe is the impact of it. It's important to remember that when we are having any emotion, we have the emotion because there is a story behind it, there is a meaning, there is a belief behind it. We don't feel the emotion because the circumstance made it feel it. This is where all of us and most of us get confused. And that's why a lot of people keep struggling with life and circumstances and keep feeling bad about it and cannot find that place of relief and can't be in control. They lose it. Circumstances are stronger than them, and they find themselves most of the time defeated and victim of any situation. When we get to a point where we understand this fact that whenever I am feeling an emotion, I am feeling it because I have a definition about the situation where I did have this emotion. So emotion is basically the result of a belief that I have. It's not the result of the circumstance, because a circumstance is neutral. You have made a mistake at your job and maybe the boss fired you, but it's neutral. I made a mistake. Okay, I acknowledged it. I owned it. It's a lesson I've learned, and I got fired for that. This is not even in my power because it is the company that decides for themselves. They do have their own policies and their own reasons for which they can keep or fire a person. That is not my place, honestly, to discuss what others can think and say and what their opinions are. What I can do is how am I going to respond to this circumstance? Am I going to beat myself up, feel like a victim, and think that I am not good enough and that my life is not worth it and nobody likes me and I should die because I am not worthy and my life is over? Or choose to simply accept the situation as it is, it happened, now what can I do from now on? What can I do with this experience? How can I improve? And what can I do better for the next time in my life? Maybe I should consider better my choices when I am applying to jobs. Maybe I should improve my communication. Maybe I should improve my learning skills when I am dealing or starting a new job. Maybe I should learn to be more self-aware and more emotionally aware of myself to be able to respond better to life and events and be able to communicate better with people and come from a place of honesty and genuine transparency and authenticity, rather than coming from a place of fear, of mediocre reactions to life and people, and just move on, because life will not stop just because you have been fired, and it's not going to end because you made a mistake. if you have the mindset of solution orientation, and that is something I guarantee you, every company in the world only looks for people who are oriented towards solutions. If you have a mediocre reaction to a situation or a challenge in the job, I don't think that they fired you because of the fact that you made the mistake. It's more about how you reacted or if you responded to it. Because if you come from a place of self-awareness, of owning the thing and being more oriented and willing to learn, improve and fix the situation and move forward and be honest about it because it's important, it shows how respectful you are of where you are and the company and the employees and most importantly the customers. And therefore whenever you find that there is a challenge, a mistake or anything, you catch it, you share it, you solve it. And by the way, when I make a mistake and I share it with others, it's not a proof that I am not good enough and they are better than me. I personally always have been in the concept of sharing what I learn or even what I don't learn. Because when I make a mistake from a very young age, I have been told that when you are making a mistake in something, when you learn the lesson and you discover it and you find a solution, remember to share with others what was the mistake and how you solved it. Because it's going to help others and to avoid making the same mistake. Why would we be all making the same mistake? If you had the experience before me and you learned how to manage it and solve it, it is a good thing to share it with others. And this is how the world and humanity can grow and evolve. It's the way to do it. So now that we have been through what a mistake is and the invitation to start seeing it in the different way, in a way that shows that you are learning, that you are aware of yourself and aware of what is happening, and willing to own your mistakes, to own your responsibility from a place where you acknowledge what you do, the good and the bad, because it is the same, at an equal same level. And especially the humility to acknowledge when you make a mistake and be excited and curious about how can we solve it? What is the solution? What are the different ways that we can do it? And have fun with that, sharing it with the team and finding ways and solutions, brainstorming together, making a mastermind around it and finding solutions and ways to improve the teamwork and the work experience, because we spend a lot of time in our jobs. So we'd better create a very healthy, positive environment for ourselves. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for ourselves. That it's not about the mistake that we are making. It's more about what is happening within us when we make a mistake. What is the meaning that we are giving it? And what I've noticed for myself was that when I made this late mistake that I shared with you, what happened with me is that I found myself triggered by it. I felt exactly like I was 10 years ago in a job experience where I have been fired after 2 weeks of job because the company and my colleagues didn't find me at their level. And they decided that I wasn't enough for this job. It really was a very hard experience for me because I have received a very harsh feedback and I felt judged without even having the opportunity to learn or to put myself out there and just try and see, because 2 weeks wasn't enough and I didn't receive the training that I needed to be able to show myself and give my best. It's not easy when people tell you that you are not a fit for a job. You might take it personally and feel like you are not enough for anything. You might feel like you are inferior to others and you are rejected because of who you are, because you think that you are, what is said, you are labeled as not fitting in, especially if you are like me. Your whole life have been spending it, believing and living in a life that you felt that you are not in your place. You felt like you are not accepted. You felt as if you are invisible and nobody could understand you. You felt like you didn't fit in the world. And that experience had been for me like a confirmation of the fact that I wasn't a fit in the world. One more proof of how unworthy I am. One more proof of how not a fit I am in this world. This is how I interpret it. So when it happened to me 10 years later, all of that have been triggered. But thankfully, with what I have learned and what I'm sharing with you on this channel, I was able to not be triggered and killed by my trigger. This time I was able to understand what I was feeling by observing simply what were the emotions and listening and observing the thoughts that were coming. What were the memories? What were the memories? What were the images that came to me? What was the moment? Finding the emotions and the beliefs behind it, I realized that I was protecting myself from having the same experience because it didn't feel good for me. I made a definition of it as a proof of how unworthy I was, and it hurts me a lot. And I lived very badly that experience of rejection. This time, therefore, I didn't allow it to just go on, and I didn't fall into the reactive modality. I observed what was happening. I observed and I understood because we know the trigger. And if you start questioning the trigger rather than reacting to it, trying to defend yourself from it, if you put yourself in a place where you see the trigger and you ask it, why am I triggered? What is it that is triggering me? Is it really the mistake that I am making right now? Or is it something else? What is this fear coming from? Because I was scared on that moment. There was a 5-10 minutes where I felt scared. I felt a lot of sadness. I felt a lot of loneliness. I was ashamed and guilt. And it was as if I was the kid of 9 years that was bullied or shamed in front of a lot of people. Something that I experienced also when I was rejected from this job. And it was awful. But rather than sitting with the awfulness of it and feeling like I'm a victim and anticipating the worst case scenarios and reacting to this thing maybe with anger or sadness or anything else, or quitting the job because I made a mistake, I captured it, I observed it, and I listened to it, and I reminded myself, this trigger is showing me something or a definition that no longer serves me. I don't want to be reacting to it anymore. This is not my story anymore. My story today is different. That experience do not represent that I am unworthy or that I am rejected or that I don't fit in the world. It doesn't serve me. I am today a different person. I am a mature person. I am emotionally mature and I understand what is a trigger. I know that it doesn't define me. It's not a confirmation of a belief, that a limiting belief that I do have about myself. It's a reminder that there is a story that I need to rewrite for myself, a meaning that I need to change and to upgrade, because it's about upgrading our definitions and our beliefs while we are growing, because we cannot live with the beliefs that we had when we were a kid or when we are a teenager and when we are 20s, when we are at our 40s. We need to really upgrade our beliefs and our thoughts because of those experiences, and your self-awareness and your emotional intelligence are here to allow you to upgrade yourself. When you are having an emotion that is not positive for you, you need to really understand that it's not an emotion caused by what is happening or the condition. The emotion is coming from a story, a belief that you already have in your mind. So if you want to change the way you are perceiving the circumstance and the way you are perceiving yourself, when you have this negative emotion, try to question it and understand what is the belief that is behind it. Not questioning the circumstance and feeling like a victim of life and life is unfair, because circumstances don't matter. What matters is how you are responding. What is your emotional reaction, emotional response? So when I felt those negative emotions, I found a lot of limiting ideas and beliefs thanks to the negative thoughts that came out. For example, I was thinking about what happened 10 years ago and how unworthy I was, and how I have been fired in a very bad way, and all the bad words that have been said to me. But it wasn't that they were bad. I was defining them in a bad way. Because when somebody tells you don't fit in this job, does it really only mean that you are not enough and you are not a good person? Even if they tell you that you are not enough for this position, is it necessarily something negative that is taking something off of you? Or is it simply that they don't see you in this position and it's not your place? It doesn't mean that you don't belong to any place. It's an invitation to find yourself and create for yourself your space where you belong and where you fit in the world. Because it's not about adapting or fitting in other people's opinions of you and beliefs and what is normal for them. It's more about finding for yourself who you are, what you believe, what you prefer, and how you interact with your life. And this is in your hands. So I realized that I did have a negative definitions because I didn't have a good self-image. I was a very shy person. I moved to a new country. I didn't know very well the professional environment. I didn't know very well people. I wasn't confident. I came from a very negative relationship. So it was a lot of things where I was lost. And as a matter of fact, today when I reconsidered it, thanks to this experience that I've had of the mistake that I've made, I realized how much I grew up, how much I changed from that moment. I realized how many things I've learned from that experience, and especially how my interpretation of it was negative, and I started reconsidering how I defined it for myself. And it doesn't have to be a long list of things, just the fact that everything that happened to me is happening for me, and there is always a lesson about myself, a way for me to look for myself and understand myself better, to validate myself and not expect validation of others, and to be okay with being rejected from people. Because what others think of me do not define me. It's their point of view, and it's not gonna be defining me unless I allow it to define me. As you can see in the story where I told you that they told me you don't fit in this job, so you are fired, we don't want you here, you are not learning fast, this isn't for you, this isn't good for you. I interpreted it as I'm not good enough. I cannot make it. Nobody's gonna want to hire me. My life is over. I should be looking for something else, less paid than that, because I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough. Hoping that anyone accept me. And I found myself really all over the place, accepting anything and anyone and work on whatever it comes without a goal, without a purpose, without clarity of mind. It was really as if I was a feather in the wind. And it was really confusing. No wonder that everyone was telling me that I didn't fit and wasn't good enough. I wasn't clear with myself. And this experience helped me a lot to get more lost in order for me to find myself back. And I think this happens a lot to a lot of us. And maybe you as well have experienced it. A moment where you feel life brings you a lot of circumstances and you get lost so often to the point that it's as if you are dying. But what is important with this experience, at least from my point of view, it was the death of a version of me in order for a better version of me and more authentic to take place. And this trigger, as a matter of fact, was a blessing. So I realized it, I heard it, I understood where it's coming from, and I went to that definition that I have, to that story that I was telling myself. And honestly, when I started seeing the story in a different way from who I am today, it empowered me because I finally healed that version of me. I finally listened to her, and I finally was able to speak to her and explain to her that it was about our definitions. that it's fine. We took it personally on that moment of our life because we did what we knew best. And that is what we believed to be the truth about ourselves. But thanks to that experience and so many others, we are able today to know ourselves very well and be open to keep knowing ourselves and others and the world. And it is thanks to all those experiences that today I am able to be self-aware and be curious about my triggers rather than reacting and being afraid of them. So today, when I had the same experience, I was able to, first of all, heal myself and listen to my trigger. And second thing, to handle it in a better way that really made things work better than what I could ever imagine, even though I didn't expect anything. And I have played in my mind the worst case scenarios based on that past experience. And I also said, why not? At the end of the day, I am someone that do really deeply believe that mistakes do not define us. And I do really believe that it's okay to make mistakes and everyone make them. There is no human being that don't do them. And I own my responsibility and acknowledge and accept that whether it is a way for me to grow and find more my place in this job and learn more, or be a reason for me to be fired from this job and lose it, either ways I find. Because it's either gonna allow me to grow in this place or it's gonna allow me to grow in a better place. Because things always happen for us. If we choose to believe that they are happening for us, we are able to be solution oriented. And we are able to see the value on it. Rather than seeing it as a proof that we are not enough, we start seeing it as an exciting lesson to learn. So when you are making mistakes in your life or in your job, be okay with it. Have a different state of mind around it. And if you are feeling bad about it, like it happened to me today, welcome it, because as you can see, it really can be an opportunity for you to finally give it a new meaning, a meaning that is coming from the person that you became today, the better version of yourself that is here today the way it is, also thanks to the experiences that you have had in the past. Because for me, for a long time, I felt that I didn't belong. And it was an awful feeling up until the moment it starts to become my superpower. When I realized I don't have to belong. I need to really find the peace with the fact that I am a unique human being. And unique human being doesn't have to have a negative meaning. It doesn't have to mean that everyone is rejecting me. And it doesn't have to mean that I have the need to be accepted and validated by anyone. It's a really very interesting adventure and journey. And I invite you from now on to own your mistakes because they are a part of your growing. They are part of your process. And when you share your mistakes with others, you are giving them the opportunity to learn, to grow, and maybe to avoid mistakes that you have been through and make their life easier and better. This will not make you less than others. On the contrary, it is gonna make you a good person, a person with values, a person that genuinely want to make this world a better place, want to improve themselves and also help others improve and have an easier life. And what is wrong with that? There is nothing wrong with that. We need to really change this idea of when I make mistakes, I am wrong and I'm not good enough. This is something that we really need to work with in ourselves and also start to share it with our colleagues. And if you are the leader of a team, you are a boss, if you are an employer, please remember to treat your colleagues or your employees and the humans that are working with you as whole people rather than a trailer of them, the mistake that they gave. Because if we want to create for ourselves a community that is really honest and transparent with us, people that are authentic, that can show us loyalty and respect and unconditional love, we need to provide them with the very important thing that is that they are loved and accepted and respected because they are whole human beings. And whatever they do, it doesn't define them. And we don't see them for what they are doing or what they are saying and their mistakes. We see them as whole, and it's okay to make a mistake. The most important thing is to acknowledge it, to become aware of it, and do what it takes to make amend, solution, to solve the problem. This is the important thing, because things happen in life. Not most of the time we are doing things on purpose for the sake of hurting people. Let's give ourselves some credit. Let's remind ourselves of our intentions. And let's remind ourselves that we are human and we can make mistakes and we can make amend and solve the problems and find solutions. And it's all right to share it with our community, be it at a professional area or others. It's okay, because by sharing it, by being vulnerable and being okay with making mistakes, this is an empowering way for us to create real connections, to create real meaning to our professional environment, and to exchange with our community, to create the team, to build a team where people genuinely share their successes and also their mistakes, because they are not mistakes. They are learning curves and they are part of the process. And remember the Italian quotes: those who don't take action don't make mistakes. Those who make mistakes are those who take actions, are those who learn, are those who are doing things. So just remind ourselves of that. Be proud of yourself, because you are doing your best with what you have from where you are. And you are improving. And each and every time you are self-aware and you are aware of anything, observing it, that is not what you prefer, that is not part of the process, you find the solutions rather than staying in the guilt, in the shame, and wanting to hide because you believe that by doing a mistake you are wrong. The most important thing, in my opinion, is not the mistakes that you have made or the failures that you have made. The most important thing is what you are going to do about them. Are you going to give up because you made a mistake? Or are you going to make this mistake a learning curve for you? Use it to grow, to improve, to get more of who you truly are. I think that one of the things that can support you in this is also to detach from what others think of you, because this is the kind of negative emotions that come from the fear of being seen by others in a negative way and all the consequences that we believe can unfold from it, such as being rejected, not being accepted by people, feeling like we are not fitting in something, and not having our place in a community and not connecting to others. And for this, I have a video that might really be of help to you. I'm going to link it in the description below. And I really hope that this video is helpful to you. I also would love to hear from you. How are you dealing with mistakes? How do you define your mistakes? And how did you make your mistakes your superpower? So please let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, I would love from you and invite you to subscribe to my channel so you are able to see more similar content. I want to thank you very much for watching me today, and I can see you in the next video. Much love.